Benny Andersson shaped the sound of an entire generation, yet remained largely out of the spotlight. While the world focused on the glitzy disco balls and catchy hooks of ABBA's music, Benny, the band's mastermind, quietly built its emotional and musical foundation. His contributions go beyond the songs we know and love. They speak to the soul of ABBA's music. The melodies, harmonies, and arrangements that defined ABBA's music were his art. And while he wasn't the one in the limelight, Benny was the one who made it all work behind the scenes. Now, at 78, Benny reflects on his journey, one that includes personal struggles, the unraveling of relationships, and a career that spanned decades. He's finally revealing the story that wasn't told before, offering fans a deeper, more vulnerable look into his life. Early life and musical beginnings. Born on December 16, 1946 in Stockholm, Sweden, Benny's path into music began at a young age. Raised in a working-class household, he was introduced to music by his father, a civil engineer, and his grandfather, a self-taught musician. At just 6 years old, Benny began learning the accordion, which sparked a lifelong fascination with melody and harmony. Unlike his peers, Benny wasn't driven by a desire for fame, but by a genuine passion to understand how music worked. He would teach himself the piano by ear, quickly becoming known for his sensitivity to tone and emotion. By 10, Benny was already playing at family gatherings and school concerts, showcasing his natural musical abilities and understanding that went far beyond showmanship. Forming the Heap Stars, the early breakthrough. In 1964, at just 18 years old, Benny joined a Swedish rock band called the Hepstars, which would go on to be known as the Swedish Beatles. This was a pivotal moment in Benny's career. With Benny's musical genius, the band's sound matured, and they quickly began topping Swedish charts with hits like Sunny Girl and Wedding, both of which Benny wrote himself. These early successes marked the beginning of Benny's journey as a composer and arranger. His understanding of the music industry was also growing as he balanced the technical side of production with his natural talent for melody. As the band's musical brain, Benny was already starting to shape what would become his signature sound. Though he remained out of the limelight, focused more on the music than on stardom. The meeting that changed everything. In 1966, Benny's life took another turn when he met Björn Ulvaeus, a member of the folk pop group the Hootenanny Singers, at a mutual friend's party. The two immediately hit it off, both musically and personally, leading to a strong partnership. Over the next few years, Benny and Björn began writing songs together, experimenting with different styles and even composing for other Swedish artists. Their bond deepened not just due to shared musical interests, but also because they complemented each other perfectly. Benny brought emotional depth to the music, while Björn's sharp wit and lyrical insight balanced Benny's introspection. This collaboration set the stage for what would become ABBA, a band that would forever change pop music. ABBA's formation, the birth of a musical empire. By the early 1970s, Benny and Björn were writing not just together, but for two powerful female voices, Agnetha Fältskog, a Swedish solo artist, and Anni-Frid Frida Lingstad, a jazz singer turned pop star. Together, they formed a group under the somewhat unwieldy name Benny, Björn, Agnetha, and Anni-Frid. The name wasn't ideal, but the chemistry was undeniable. In 1973, the group attempted to win the Swedish Eurovision entry with a song that failed, but they weren't discouraged. In 1974, they came back stronger with Waterloo, a glam pop anthem that won the Eurovision Song Contest and catapulted ABBA into international fame. From there, they adopted the now iconic name ABBA, and Benny's role as the architect of the band's sound solidified. He was no longer just a musician, he was shaping the very heart of ABBA's identity. The sonic architect, Benny's studio magic. Benny wasn't just a composer, he was a sonic architect. He treated each song like a masterpiece, carefully constructing harmonies, melodies, and arrangements that gave each track depth and emotion. Known for his perfectionism, Benny spent hours in the studio, fine-tuning every detail. He was not interested in chasing trends, he was creating something timeless. His use of synthesizers, layering of instruments, and precise vocal arrangements set ABBA apart from other bands of the era. Songs like Knowing Me, Knowing You, and Fernando showcased Benny's ability to balance joy with sadness, creating a musical duality that resonated deeply with listeners. This was Benny's gift to the world. He didn't just write songs, he created emotional landscapes where each note mattered. The emotional toll of success. While ABBA's public success reached new heights throughout the 1970s, internally things began to fall apart. The unraveling started subtly in 1979 when Björn and Agnetha divorced. Despite this, ABBA carried on, recording their Super Trooper album. While the album's hits still retained the signature ABBA sound, the sessions were marked by a palpable tension. 2 years later, Benny and Frida followed suit, ending their own marriage. Their relationship had been one of mutual understanding and creative synergy, but Benny's obsessive perfectionism in the studio had started to take a toll on their personal life. Frida, more emotionally expressive, found herself feeling increasingly neglected as Benny became more withdrawn. By 1981, Benny admitted to falling in love with another woman. And the split, though quiet, deepened the rift within the band. The Visitors. ABBA's final album. The band's final album, The Visitors, released in 1981, reflected the emotional strain within the group. Songs like When All Is Said and Done and Slipping Through My Fingers were not just introspective, they were painfully honest. The sparkle that had once defined ABBA's music was now clouded with an undeniable sadness. Though ABBA would continue to perform for a short while after The Visitors, it was clear that the magic had faded. By 1982, the band officially disbanded, but there was no explosive farewell. Instead, ABBA simply disappeared, leaving fans with endless questions. Why did they stop when they were still at the top? For years, speculation ran rampant, yet there was no public explanation, only silence. The silence breaks. Benny's confession. For over 4 decades, the silence around ABBA's breakup remained unbroken. That is, until November 2024, when Benny sat down for an interview with The Guardian. For the first time, he admitted the real reason behind ABBA's disbandment. Exhaustion. The band wasn't torn apart by betrayal or creative conflict. It was simply too much. Years of non-stop work, personal turmoil, and the pressure to maintain a facade of joy took a toll on the band members. Benny's words were raw and unsentimental. We were exhausted, he said. Marriages were falling apart. The music was starting to sound unnatural. We needed to stop to preserve ourselves. This simple statement shattered the myths and answered the questions that had haunted fans for years. ABBA's end was a result of emotional depletion, not drama. The final years. A natural unraveling. Benny went further in an April 2025 interview with Billboard, describing ABBA's final years as uninspired and routine. What once had been vibrant collaboration had become a job, not a passion. Songs were written more slowly, and studio sessions became shorter. There was no magic left, no energy to fuel the creative spark. Benny didn't frame this as a failure, but rather as an inevitable ending. "We couldn't go on pretending," he admitted. The revelation was both illuminating and healing for fans who had always sensed something was wrong in ABBA's last albums. Songs like "One of Us" and "Like an Angel Passing Through My Room" felt different, not just musically but emotionally. Benny's admission validated the sense of sadness that had lingered in those final tracks. The silence had a reason. Frida's life after ABBA. After ABBA's dissolution, Frida embarked on an unexpected journey. In 1992, she married Prince Heinrich Russo of Plauen, becoming part of European royalty. The Swedish press was captivated by her transition from pop icon to princess. However, life as royalty wasn't as glamorous as it seemed. Frida struggled to adapt to the rigidity of aristocratic life, which clashed with the spontaneity and emotion she had known as a performer. Then came the deepest tragedy of her life, the loss of her daughter, Anneliese, in a car accident in 1998. Grief-stricken, Frida withdrew from the public eye, seeking solace in her quiet life. During this dark time, it was Benny who reached out. Their shared past provided a bond no one else could understand. In their quiet reconnection, Frida found comfort not in reliving their glory days, but in the shared understanding of their pain.